One of the things I'm most proud of is our mental health department, where we provide low-cost counseling to special needs individuals and their families. During times like this is something that everyone can use. It really is something.
Hey,
I'm back! I missed
Navah,
you guys.
where have you been? Where have you been
all my life?
Where have you been? So
I've been really sick.
Navah's been really sick.
I
Welcome to, I was going to say Center at Home, but we actually are changing the title of this show. It is now going to be called The Brady Bunch of Autism.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what, when people think about us, they really think the Brady Bunch of Autism. And we thought it'd be fun. You know, this is technically our first show of the new year, 2021. And we thought it would be kind of fun to mix it up and go back to our OG. Is that how the kids say it?
And
our original title.
Yeah, and we wanted to have the element of fun that we have. So we thought Brady Bunch of Autism was the way to go. So that is why you see the Brady Bunch of Autism right here.
Because
right there.
As people know, Matt and I are a blended family. When we met, I had 4 beautiful children, 2 on the spectrum. And Maddie had 2 children, Willie, who is on the spectrum. And so when we blended, we had
knew that
3.
Somehow we could form a family.
Right, exactly. And which is funny because Maureen is our friend, the amazing Marsha Brady. I almost said Jan, and Maureen would never forgive me for that. But such a most wonderful woman, and we're sending out a prayer to Denny, her beloved brother, who's not well either. So, you know, I just wanted to say that I'm constantly telling all of you out there to put your mask on first before you take care of your children. And I give out great advice, but I don't take my own advice. And so I really just fell in the rabbit hole. And, you know, every year, it's so funny because you know how Facebook has these memories and they say, oh, on this date last year. So every year I have bronchitis.
You've been sick.
Every year in the week after New Year's, I'm sick. And for the last 4 years, 2 of the 4 years, I got pneumonia. And so this was that, you know, one of those wonderful years where I happened to get that, which in these times means you basically have to do 1 million COVID checks and make sure that it's not that. And thank God it wasn't. But, you know, I'm still recuperating and I still don't feel like my old self, but
you're getting there.
I definitely am getting there. And you know, I have all my accoutrements in case I have a coughing fit. But, you know, the main thing is that we're so used to putting our children's needs and our household's needs and even our jobs needs in front of our health. And really nothing is more important than your health. I say that all the time. And I really believe that 100-fold now after going through such a sickness that felt like I was never going to get better. I'm sure he was holding down the Brady Bunch of Autism, and he definitely felt that I was never going to get better. But thank God.
We got through it. Everything's fine.
Yes.
We're all good.
Thank God.
Yep.
Thank God.
And I think Navah's on her. She's on the mend. So
definitely.
The mend. So we want to know how all of you are doing. And there's Caroline who's writing in.
Hi, Caroline.
And can you read that for me? It's just out of the comfort zone.
Hello, Navah and Matt. How are you both doing today? I'm doing good because it's Friday.
Yeah.
Ow!
Friday.
Caroline, one day you'll be old and you'll need glasses like me, Auntie Navi.
So here we are on a Friday. We haven't been here together in a couple of weeks.
I know.
So
you've had stand-ins.
I have.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the
Willie was ready to replace me. He was so good. Come on.
He was not bad.
I think that's going to be, we're going to have a member of the Brady Bunch of Autism on once a month.
I think so.
Whether they like it or not. Aviva.
Yeah. and you know, I think we should have.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Steve wrote the note and he showed it to me. That's what I laughed about earlier. He said, "Where's Cousin Oliver?"
Oh yeah, he always got the shaft.
I think Steve should be Cousin Oliver.
Yeah. He doesn't want to be.
Put him in some Robbie wrist glasses.
And
give him a high pitched voice.
I'd like to have Maureen come on the show
we'll
because she's a great she's a great
actually
example of a sibling who really has had to take over
care of her brother, who's older than she is, and he's in a facility. And
Shabbat Shalom, Shifra.
You
miss you.
You mentioned earlier that she's going through a really rough time right now. Her brother has pneumonia and he's in the hospital. And I'm not sure whether it's COVID related or not, but I think it might be.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know if she wanted us to say that.
Well, she's tweeting about it, so
yeah.
But we wish her only the best.
And Denny, definitely saying a special prayer for him tonight. Refuah Shlema.
Yeah. So, well, lots going on at the center. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on at the center before we bring Chelsea in?
Yeah, I think that Matt and I made a really hard decision and pulled our in-person until all of my tests went through, and we were just, really erring on the side of caution. We created this incredible virtual platform, and we expanded our virtual platform. And so we are going to go back to in-person for our Sunday class starting next month. But we're going to keep a lot of our classes virtual because we never know. You never know. It's better to be safe than sorry. And we have such an incredible lineup coming in February for our virtual classes, including an amazing acting / voiceover / learn how to loop class taught by autism mom parent extraordinaire Holly Dorff. Who's a great friend of mine. And that's what she does. I mean, she's a professional voiceover loop instructor, and she worked on my favorite movie, Mulan, that everyone didn't feel the same way that I did, but I love that movie. And she worked on Madagascar. She's worked on a lot of great movies. And her daughter, Hannah, is one of our Camp Ed campers.
And I'm going to say the great thing about our virtual classes is you can do them from anywhere. Yes. And they're 100% free. So no cost. All you do is log on and get educated, get enriched, and it's wonderful. So,
and then our second class, I'll talk about a little bit later because we have a full show.
Yeah, we do.
Let's get started.
Let's get on
our
with it.
Social director here at the Ed Asner Family Center and my good friend, Chelsea Darnell.
Hi.
Chelsea Darnell.
Hi, sweetie.
How are you?
Happy New Year. I haven't seen you.
Good.
I've been sick and I haven't seen you for forever.
I know it's been a minute.
I know. But I didn't have COVID, thank God. And but your mom and I was checking in with your mom, and she knew that everything was going well. And but I missed that you had this amazing guest star on one of your special shows. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So about I think 2 weeks ago, we discussed the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. We were able to get one of the stars, Joe Mantegna, to come join that movie chat and talk about his experience with the film and the film itself. And it was super enriching and it was really cool. Nice.
And everyone loved it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, I think that has to be a new staple for the movie chats.
I think that's
that's actually my plan. That's what I'm hoping to do because back in December we had my friend Laura Morano. She's an actress.
Yeah.
And then I realized, why don't we have these actors, more? So then Joe Mantegna was our next guest. There's a couple of people that I'm hoping for that I hope we can get. I'm trying to see what's on Netflix and who we could be connected to. Hopefully I could get my friend Joey King to come on here. I've known her since I was a kid, discuss one of her movies. She has 2 of them on Netflix, so we'll see.
Right.
Joey's the one who was in the story about the mom who had Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah, The Act.
Mommy Dearest, or what was it called?
The Act. She was in The Act.
Not Mommy Dearest.
Oh, she was
Mommy Dearest.
She was the kid in The Act?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She was amazing in that. Amazing.
Yeah, she's great. I think she was nominated for an Emmy for that role.
Yeah,
she
was. And I think Arquette actually won for that.
Yeah, Patricia Arquette did win. Yeah, she did win. Yeah, well, actually, that's
on a roll.
Emmys
that lady is on a roll.
I think it's safe to say that if she's in anything, she's probably going to win.
She's incredible. Remember her in
that was incredible.
Escape from Dannemora. She was incredible in that.
That was amazing. So coming up, let's see. We have the next movie chat 1.0 is Hook.
Oh, that's
That's
fun
Saturday. That's tomorrow at 7:00.
That's correct. We also have one as of yet on Sunday for 2.0, which is the more advanced group. That movie is going to be Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a great opening title sequence. That's really a neat movie.
And I've never seen it, so
perfect.
yeah. But for those who are interested, Movie Chat 2.0 is the more we talk about more intense movies in that group. Regular movie chat tends to be very lighthearted, or at least friendly for or at least comedies, light dramas.
Right.
The 2.0 is our more intense, scary.
Right.
Catch Me If You Can seems pretty light, but I chose it for 2.0 because there's a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's adult themes.
Yeah,
adult
and
themes.
It's suspense, and there's some drugs and smoking and stuff like that. But I think, like Chelsea said,
smoking is like a big thing now on because
I know
if you
but
watch anything now, they give the little bar on the top that says sexual situations, drinking.
Oh, yeah,
they'll say
that's true.
Smoking.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, really? Is that something that I guess we have to warn people about that?
But that's the great part about Chelsea's program, because there is movie chat for everyone, basically 16 and up. And then there's 2.0 for the more intense film buff fans who are okay to see an R-rated, really scary movie. Matt and I just watched, it's not on Netflix, but Matt and I just watched a movie about the hunting of the Golden State Killer. And one of the people that we want to get on for you is Patton Oswalt. And his wife, his late wife, actually helped find the Golden State Killer. She was a crime writer and a crime blogger.
It's a great story.
It's riveting. We watched it and we could not stop watching it. And it was incredible. It was called I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
And it's on HBO. It's amazing. It's not for your platform because it's on HBO, but it is incredible.
Although I would suggest, one of the things I would suggest is The Queen's Gambit, that you can watch an episode or two of that, because that's an amazing for 2.0.
Yeah, that actually leads me to my next thing. I don't know. I haven't planned anything officially, but I'm planning for sometimes. We have our special TV chat days for movie chat, where it's like we analyze like a TV episode. So the way we would advertise that, if that were to ever come up, we would actually keep the movie chat logo, cross out the word movie, and put TV, just to be a little tongue in cheek. So sometimes, I was considering this today, we might have like a special TV version of TV edition of movie chat every once in a while.
Well, we should talk about that one, because if we do the Queen's Gambit, we should talk about that, because we can actually probably help you get the producer from that. So you can have him
one
as
one of our favorites for sure. I absolutely love show. Anya. Incredible. The girl, she's also in Taylor Joy. Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember her last name.
Have you watched it yet? Queen's Gambit?
I haven't.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's incredible.
Fantastic.
It's really wonderful.
Really, really good.
That's another one where you just start watching it, and then it's like 2 days later and you're still there watching it.
I would actually watch it all over again.
Yeah.
It was that good.
Yeah.
It was.
I feel that way about
amazing.
a lot. Mindhunter. I've seen that about 10 times. And every few months.
Now we're on Outlander. That's what we're watching now. So Outlander.
Which is more like a girl's
It is
kind of like
it's really a treat for Navah.
It's kind of like a romance novel come to life, but it's better than a romance novel. It's amazing. It is a bit of a man crush kind of show.
These people get themselves into the craziest situations, and it's really almost unbelievable, but it's really well done.
It's entertaining. So, even you're entertained.
Very entertained. So I highly recommend that. So Chelsea, if people want to get involved in movie
and
night,
watch Hook, how do they watch
movie
Hook?
chat? How do they do that?
I would say the best way to join our movie chat tomorrow and the one on Sunday as well is to email our friend Shelby at teafc.org. She will provide you with the Zoom link for both events.
All righty. Well,
Indeed,
I know we're going to have a lot. There's a lot of
TAFC.org.
people who are excited about Hook, and Shifra says that's one of my favorite movies. So enjoy, and we'll talk soon about our special guests to come in 2021 at Movie Chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Stay-
Chels. Take
stay
care.
warm.
Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, all right.
All right.
All right.
All right, Maddie.
So we should do like maybe there'll be a 3.0 that you could do like a
Like
a
X-rated movies.
only you would.
I'm
Only
kidding.
you would say that.
Carolyn, I'm kidding. I didn't mean that.
This is a family show.
I know.
What are you
And
doing?
Carrie is next. And
Oh my gosh,
I'm sorry, Carrie.
So-
I apologize. I need to be muzzled sometimes.
you do.
Yeah.
So
it's the medication I'm on.
the one thing
kidding.
that we've done during the pandemic that I think has changed our life quite a bit is we've gotten a dog,
Yes.
and that is
They call it a COVID puppy.
we got
Or
a COVID
pandemic
puppy,
puppy. I mean,
and I was really against this. I was very
Yeah,
much
you were.
against this. I thought it would be a big mistake. And guess who's really into the dog now?
I would
Yeah.
say you are more than into him, into her. That's your baby.
It is.
Mhm.
I adore my dog,
Yeah, it's your dog.
and I'm the only
But I
one.
love her too. I love. And I'm a cat person, and I have never had a feeling like this for a dog. And I love Panda. I love her. She's the sweetest, most aggressive. No, I'm kidding. She's not aggressive, but she's a sheepdog, and they herd by biting your ankles. And so they have told us that Eddie thinks it's a mistake. Eddie's still a little nervous around her, a little.
A little.
I was
Little.
being generous.
No,
but,
this is I'm gonna put our household. This is here we go. You ready? Okay. So we wake up in the morning, and I take the dog out at about 6 or 5:30. I'll take the dog out, and I'll stay out with her, and it's actually quite a peaceful time. It's very nice. I don't mind that. It's very peaceful, very nice. Especially,
and you let me sleep, which
I do. I let her sleep.
eternally grateful for.
So we get outside and she pees and she poops. So it's kind of like having a baby. But then we go back inside and we wait for other people to get up. And the first one that's usually up is Eddie. And so Eddie likes to eat right away. So got to make sure get his breakfast going. So then we begin our day of the balancing act. And the balancing act
of separating Eddie and
the balancing
Panda.
act is making sure that Eddie is separate from the dog at all times, so that there's no interaction at all. Because Eddie is quite frightened by the dog, so we'll have to.
Well, Panda barks, and Panda, in her defense, just wants to see him, and because he's
it's the great
avoiding her.
It's the great misunderstanding.
Yeah,
because Eddie thinks she's barking to
bite him.
be aggressive.
Yeah.
But she's actually barking because she thinks
she's like,
he's
boy, come play with me, boy.
He's this giant toy.
Yeah.
So who squeals and who goes like this and who goes like this and this.
And flaps his hands.
And it's a big deal. So we're trying to kind of finesse it and trying to make sure that we kind of take the steps to integrate them. So hoping that.
And we have some great help. I mean, we have some great trainers who are helping us. It's time consuming, and she's worth it. But the funny thing was yesterday we were waiting for you and you and Will were in the post office, and Eddie has never been that close to Panda in his life. And he was totally calm, and she was sniffing him and licking his neck, and he was fine. Wow. And I think we have to do some more drives because Panda is so much calmer in the car.
It's like a doggy downer.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So
you get her in the car and
really,
it's like putting a baby on a washing machine.
Yeah, I'm telling you that was the trick, and we're gonna work with that. I'm very excited about our next guest. Do you know why?
Why? Well, I mean, who wouldn't be?
Well, I met Carrie. I knew about Carrie for a long time, but I met him, I think, officially when I spoke at the Milwaukee Autism Society of America yearly conference. Yeah. And But I'm excited to meet Carrie because you and I are in the midst of what Carrie has helped so many autistic young adults to do, which is to be able to go to college. And
So
we're in the midst of that with our number 3.
So why don't we bring him in and we can start talking about all this?
Yes.
So Carrie Magro,
hey,
how are you?
Long time no see.
You're a doctor. You're a doctor since the last time we saw you.
Dr. Magro.
Yes, I got my doctorate in spring of 2020. So it still feels very new. When people say Dr. Magro, I feel very odd in nature, but I feel very established, but still. Anyways, it's so good seeing both of you.
It's wonderful to have you. And thank you so much for being patient during my illness. We had Carrie on. I think he was literally on the day after New Year's when we were resuming, and then we kept having to postpone it because I was sick.
And Carrie just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, I'm 21 plus 12 now.
Oh,
wow.
I got to remember to say that. That's a great way of putting it. So, Carrie, we're in the midst of what you've been helping so many families out. I've actually directed families to Carrie. But tell us about your nonprofit and how you help so many autistic individuals get their dream of going to college.
Yeah, and especially during these crazy times, my nonprofit has been able to not only provide scholarships for students with autism to go to college, but we've been providing mentoring for so many young adults on the autism spectrum, and a lot of individuals with special needs too. My nonprofit's named KFM Making a Difference, which is just my initials, Making a Difference. And we've given out 86 scholarships for students with autism to go to college in the past 9 years, and have mentored hundreds of kids across the globe just to give them some support. Growing up with autism, I didn't really have a lot of peer mentoring services. So it's kind of just a passion of mine to try to give back to the community in this way.
So awesome.
That's a significant number. 86?
9.
Yes. 86.
9 years.
86 scholarships in 9 years.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yes.
So how does someone go about getting a scholarship from your organization?
Absolutely. So my website, kfmmakingadifference.org. I'll also include the information in the comments for people on Facebook.
Oh, great.
But we give it out every spring to students who are either pursuing a post-secondary education or are current college students who are pursuing college in the next academic year. And there's no geographic restrictions. We've had actually several of our winners from Canada and Europe. So no geographic restrictions, and we're hoping to give many more in the years to come.
Great. And is that right? It's down at the bottom of the screen. Is that right?
That is flawless. That is
okay.
Okay, great.
So if you're interested, go to the website and check it out. And
I think the mentoring part is even more important because once, it's kind of like Matt and I are in the thick of it right now with our son, Wolfie, and I'm going to reach out to you in the next month or so about it. But, we're still at that stage where we can do the majority of the work and we can help him. But once Wolfie, he wants to go to a music college. Once he, leaves the nest and is so used to me doing everything for him down to, I hate to admit, making his bed, this is the challenge. This is where the mentoring and the advice and the support of somebody who's been there, this is where it's so priceless. So I think the mentoring part of it is just so important.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head, honestly. I mean, growing up, I did not know of Dr. Temple Grandin. I did not know Dr. Stephen Shore. I looked at people with disabilities like Michael Jordan for inspiration, him growing up with ADD as a way of, I knew I had autism and I knew it was a disability, but it didn't feel the same as when I started connecting with people in our community and then getting mentors that I realized that one day after I'm a little bit more established and down the line, I hope I can give it back. And I've been able to do that for almost the past 10 years now. And it's just been a dream come true, along with doing public speaking, which has been my full-time job, with the nonprofit kind of being my side job for right now until I get more established.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Carrie. And I met you, I was saying to Matt, I met you at the ASA conference. And one of the things I loved so much about the conference was, talking to so many parents and autistic individuals themselves who said, going there and being amongst so many people who have been in their shoes, experiencing what they're experiencing, and having the struggles and the joys of being autistic, to have those people. And we were all, everyone was just, it was the most incredible thing. It was one of the things I really miss in the COVID lockdown, is these conferences and these experiences and these, it's such a wonderful feeling to be amongst people. And, in this time we've all, and I know even public speaking has really, it's both suffered and it's given you I know that you, I've seen that there are so many more opportunities because everything's Zoom. Yeah. So there are those opportunities, and I'm so grateful that you have those.
Yeah, I miss traveling so much, but at the same time, we've found ways to be more creative at this time. I did not have a Zoom account until maybe the last week of February, when we were kind of expecting this, as I work with a speaker bureau, and everyone's like, you should sign up for Zoom. And I'm like, what's Zoom? Is that like a Google Hangout? And I had to learn everything right away. And but it's, we pivoted. We started doing webinars almost weekly on different autism related topics, just to add a little bit more revenue, with so many events canceled and postponed until this year and also 2022. And it's given me the opportunity to continue writing. Though I've written 3 books, and I have a college book hopefully coming out in the fall of 2021 called Living with Autism: Stories You Need to Hear. So fingers crossed, we're going to get back to new normal, hopefully, if not by the end of this year, early next year. And just fingers crossed. But it's most important, mental health right now. It's the number one key for our community.
Absolutely. And that's really what we have been, that's really what has been our life's blood in the COVID lockdown, is being able to offer free and low cost telehealth and counseling, because there's so many kids who have gone to college, finally had this sense of freedom from their families, and then they're brought back into the household, and that almost like regression. It's been very difficult on our autistic adults and young adults. Yeah.
Matt, sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say something that was unrelated, so I'm going to wait till you finish this one.
Okay. No, what I was going to say, I've heard the same exact thing. I mean, there's been so much regression, not only for adults, but so many of these kids were relying on their ABA, their one-on-one instruction, and teletherapy has, we live in a technology world now, but teletherapy is so hard for many of our kids to really connect, especially for those with sensory challenges who really need that one-on-one, face-to-face assistance to really help them.
Absolutely.
And there's, I think looking at a screen is something that, is so impersonal. It's not personal. It's not, actually being in the same space as someone. And for Will, especially for someone like Will, our middle child with autism.
He's actually the oldest.
Oh God! All right, I'm sorry. He's the oldest child that we have with autism, but he has he can't stand Zoom. He really hates it.
He really misses the social interaction of going to school.
Yeah.
And
he needs that.
The youngest guy has autism, but he also has ADHD. So just being on, seated in front of a camera, it's impossible for him because everything is a distraction. And, that's really common with our community.
I've seen it across the board. I mean, especially not only for kids with autism, but everyone is kind of in this stage of just the overload because for so many people in our community, we're always talking a lot about screen time and trying to pivot away from so much screen time that we're having with our loved ones. And right now you can't do that. So it's
that's all we have.
Yeah.
That's all we have. It's interesting. I've known you now, I think 13 years. Is that about right?
Yeah. Back in the Autism Speaks days, literally when I was walking for them when I was actually a freshman during my undergraduate of college. So
that's right.
We've come a long way. We've come a long way, Matt.
We have. But I always was so impressed by you.
But only one of you is a doctor.
That's true. I did not take that time to become a doctor.
You have time.
I do. All we have is time. But I think that I really responded to you because you're the same. I think you believe you're the same age as my brother, and he. So it's I always really kind of saw that in you, and so I think of you as a brother is what I'm trying to say.
I love it. I would love to be an adopted brother of the Asner family.
An honorary Asner.
An honorary Asner. I love it.
Where are you zooming in from, Carrie? Where are you? Where do you live?
So I'm in Hoboken, New Jersey. We have a high of 14 degrees today, so it's a little on the chilly side. I would prefer to be in California.
Oh my gosh! Well, God willing, like you say, let's fingers crossed that we're gonna have Carrie come and speak at the center. You can't believe the incredible center that we have here. And we've had a lot of amazing speakers here and community events and book signings. And that's the hard part, is all the wonderful interactions that we miss with our community events. But we would love to have you come and speak to our community, hopefully in the summer, you know, so it's nice. And,
well, I have to say, I commend you both for all the incredible work you're doing. I am constantly up to date on your Facebook page and looking at the poker event, which was incredible.
Yeah, that was
so many virtuals, and then Pete Davidson with the reading. I'm a big SNL guy. There were so many amazing celebrities, but Pete Davidson really for me.
That was my idea. Carrie, thank you. That was my idea.
She gets all the credit.
We had just seen The King of Staten Island, and Maude had already signed on. And so I was like we got to get Pete Davidson, because I love him. He reminds me so much of one of my kids. And Matt's like, he'll never do this. We find out that his late father's favorite movie was.
But I did go out and get him.
I know.
It's a Wonderful Life, right? It was a reading.
Yeah, his dad, his father. I mean, he has such a connection with his late father. And that was his favorite movie, and it was their family tradition to watch this movie like 3 times a year, not once a year. So it was kismet, and he was just so sweet.
He had a home run. He was so good. I
loved it.
So good.
That's great. And just the work you do and supporting the community, it's really good, because I mean we have so many organizations, and I serve on the panel of advisors for the Autism Society and the board of directors for the National Autism Association. So I wear many hats in a lot of different autism organizations. But I think the autism organizations that moving forward, it really is focused on resources. And that's what I continue to hear about from your team. It's just all the resources that you're providing for the community. It's really needed. So job well done.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That means so much.
It sure does. It sure does. And I'll tell you, I think it's so important that we've lived this life. I mean, right? We've raised children, we've lived this life, and we want to provide people with what we didn't have, with what our kids didn't have. And so that's our main drive, our main focus. So that's what we do. And I appreciate the words. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. It's important, and it takes a village at the end of the day.
It does. And speaking of a village, I want to talk a little bit about you have such a great story. You're a doctor now. I know we've mentioned that like 5 times, but it's important.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing and your development. So you were nonverbal until about 4 or 5, right? Is that right?
So I was nonverbal until I was about 3, and then I didn't start speaking in two words until 5, and then complete sentences until I was about 7. So once I started talking, you couldn't get me to stop talking though. Most of my challenges were sensory related, just a lot of sensory stimuli, a lot of overload with loud noises, bright lights. I would wear sunglasses in a lot of my classes as a kid just because of the fluorescent lights of classrooms. So just a lot of sensory issues really. But I was able to get 15 hours a week of occupational physical speech right after my diagnosis when I was 4. And I had that until I was about 19, graduating from high school. And it really was pivotal to really help me because I didn't really have the early intervention being diagnosed at 4, even though they say it's until about 5. I was kind of like the late kid when it came to all those interventions, but my parents stuck true to those therapies and it led me to where I am today.
Well, you've always been incredibly kind to your parents. I've never met your parents, but I certainly would like to, because you're what you said before. It takes a village,
Yeah,
and it certainly starts with the parents. And
I know so many. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
Like I always do, but I know so many parents that use Carrie as like their paradigm. It's like, oh my God, especially newly diagnosed families, and they say his story, because a lot of times you talk about what you were and how your childhood kind of transpired. And it gives so many parents this hope that, when you have these closed-minded doctors, the doctors told both Matt and I, about our individual children, that they would never speak, they would never do this, they would never do that. And, my son was teaching himself to play classical piano when he was 3 years old. He didn't talk, but, no doctor knows what, because I'm sure your parents got some negative Nelly doctor that told them what Carrie wasn't going to do. And now Carrie is Dr. Carrie Magro.
right.
So I know so many parents that are inspired by you and feel very hopeful about their future with their children. And I think that in itself is such a wonderful thing. And I know you should feel a lot of, pride that you give these parents who are in a really dark place sometimes a lot of hope and a lot of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, experts told my parents, one of the ones that I remember most, even as a 5-year-old child, was I would never get accepted into college. And it was so tough being like, okay, I'm going to graduate from high school at 21 out of services and what's going to happen. So I applied to 15 different colleges, got accepted into all 15, Seton Hall being my choice. And then I really built a ton of self-motivation and self-advocacy for myself after that. My parents are the 2 biggest blessings in my life. I love them unconditionally, and I always will. I've written 2 love letters to both of them. One of them got picked up on the Today Show. We were on the Today Show for to the moms who love someone on the spectrum, which was kind of like a love letter to my mother. And it went viral, and I posted one for my dad too. And whoever is part of your village is not only the parents, it's the siblings, it's the grandparents, it's anyone who becomes part of your community.
Yeah,
that's a wonderful. Can I find that on YouTube? I'll probably cry my eyes out, but can I find that Today Show with your mom's love letter?
Yes, absolutely. If you just type in NBC, Carrie Magro will be one of the first videos that pops up.
That's
well, we'll do that. We'll post it as well.
Yeah.
Carrie, I can't thank you enough. Keep up the good work and keep advocating for people on the spectrum, because I know everyone talks about it a lot. Everyone talks about autism a lot, but it's not. They need advocates like you. They need people to look at who are doing the right things in life and who are navigating the choices in an acceptable way. And they need mentors, and you're certainly providing that to people. And kudos to you.
Well, thank you. That means the world. I mean, our kids are growing up every single day. I'm a testament to it. When the numbers of autism were 1 in every 1,000 when I was diagnosed in 92, now being 1 in 54, we need to make people realize that there are going to be so many Temple Grandins, Stephen Shores, me, there's going to be so many kids who are going to grow up, and hopefully they will use their voices and feel empowered to use their voices to make positive change in our community. So I just hope I can make a difference in the lives of others to help them potentially do that.
You already have.
And as we say at the center, it's all about self-confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely 100%.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm a theater nerd, so I have that in spades. Hopefully.
So Carrie, like I said, we're in the thick of it with Wolfie, so you'll be hearing from me pretty soon. And I'm going to tell Wolfie that you applied to 15 schools and you got into all of them. That is extremely.
That sounds like a challenge. Don't tell him that.
No, but it's incredible. It's wonderful and it's very inspiring.
All right.
So,
well, thank you for
so
having me
much.
on. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Carrie.
Carrie.
Stay safe.
We'll see you
talk
soon.
Have a great weekend, all.
Okay,
Bye.
you too. Carrie Magro.
That's wonderful. That's
Impressive guy.
wonderful.
Carrie was one of those guys that I would always see.
He has such a beautiful smile too. That's what I remember about meeting him at the ASA conference.
And you mentioned his smile. If you look at, he always puts his picture up of him as a child, and he literally looks exactly the same.
Yeah. I think that about Wolf, who's 6'3" and this
Wolf
giant man. He has the same expression.
No. Wolf, he looked very different as a child. He looked like a child, but Carrie is like a little.
I see Wolfie exactly the same.
Carrie is like mini me.
You look exactly the same in those.
I do?
Yeah.
No.
You do.
So we haven't had this segment for a while. So we and
it's because our friend has been inundated.
He's been inundated and so busy.
Yeah.
Because he's a doctor in Washington, and he's on the front lines and
in the freezing cold, out in the elements.
So we're going to bring Dr. Gary on, and we're going to talk about the situation.
And he might have to leave at any point because he's an emergency.
That's right. Gary. Dr. Gary.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
How's it going in Washington?
Cold.
Freezing.
Cold?
37.
And you're still seeing people on a regular basis, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. A little bit of both, family practice and urgent care now.
And are you still doing a lot of tests?
Oh yeah. More and more positive still every day.
Wow.
Gary, during all my sickness, which Gary was I don't even know, guardian angel. But every single person I talked to, every doctor that I talked to, they said to me, the nasal swab is the only test that matters. And that because I had gotten these mouth swabs, and so then all of a sudden I had to get 3 nasal swabs, and I think people don't get them just because they're so horrific.
Yeah, they're discomforting, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh!
The PCR is really the only one that's still really verifiable. We've been watching people do the rapids and have a negative, and the same day get the PCR and it come back positive in 2 days. And
PCR is the deep nasal?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, one of them I got laying down, and I think it's 10 times worse when you're laying down to get that.
Right. Makes you gag really bad.
Yeah. Oh,
I had it.
Laying down?
I think I did.
No, you're lying.
I had it reclining, and it wasn't bad for me. I don't know.
Oh.
It wasn't that bad for me.
He's a man's man.
But gladly it was negative. So Gary, let's talk about where we are in the country. So we've got a vaccine campaign like no other. Johnson & Johnson just released their results of a trial that puts their vaccine at 65% effective against severe and moderate COVID, keeping people out of the hospital and out of death. So that's promising to a certain extent. But I want to ask you one thing. I mean, so it looks like we're on a decent track there, but it's an uphill battle, right?
Right. I mean, the thing I think we seem to remember is we need a treatment plan.
Yeah.
So we need more treatment. I think they need to put as much money into a treatment as they did to the vaccine. Otherwise, we're just going to keep putting people in the hospital. When you think about Tamiflu and Xofluza for the flu, those were treatments to decrease your symptoms and keep you out of the hospital. if we could get the same thing for this, we'd be doing beber.
That's
is there any help that Tamiflu does with COVID?
No. Remdesivir has still been the one that has showed promise, but I haven't seen them working on it quite enough, and I haven't gotten any new reports come across that say that they're really pushing for that. I know they're using it here in a couple of the hospitals, and it seems to be at least helping. So I'd like to see them push that one a little bit harder.
Well, let me ask you something. So we're in a situation right now where we're starting to see variants pop up, a lot of them. And so I want to talk about convergent evolution of vaccines. So, and I was reading this article today that if we don't actively pursue, if we don't actually have an agency that pursues variants and that looks for variants, that we're going to end up in the same problem or even in a worse problem.
Correct. I think we're seeing that with some of them now.
Yeah.
There's the one from Africa that's looking totally different than the one from the UK. And I think you saw probably this morning, the one thing I was sending you, where it talked about, the efficacy of the vaccine on the UK version isn't going to be as good as the one we have now. So how bad is that going to get when that changes a couple more times? Is it going to be so bad that the vaccine doesn't cover it all and we start all over?
And so the nature of a vaccine, obviously, is to mutate.
Correct.
So a vaccine is going to mutate when it's starting to see that it's being killed off by something. It's going to mutate to not be killed off by that. So it's going to find a way to survive that.
That's the goal.
Not a vaccine, a virus.
I'm sorry, a virus.
That's the goal is of the vaccine, though, to cover each one of those and block those pathways so that doesn't happen. But if it's changing so rapidly that it can't keep up with that, that's the problem.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So there we are.
Okay.
This
has
been a really uplifting conversation, Gary.
I think you need a furry hat.
Navah, I was telling you, Navah, this morning, it's depressing. I mean, I think we're seeing so much more mental health than we were before. I mean, I'm probably seeing 5 to 6 new, really severe depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, every day now, a lot more than when we first talked about it. And I think we talked about that at the very, very beginning. We said, this is going to happen, and it's starting to happen. And I think a lot of it is the lockdowns, the poor treatment plans, the hospitalizations. I mean, the deaths in the family. I mean, it just is compounded.
And the online learning that is, destroying both the parents and the children's soul.
There's instead of having this much on your plate, there's this much on your plate.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not going away anytime soon. And it's just,
But I mean,
I will say this though.
Mental health, like Gary said, when we started our mental health department, we were, we had X amount of patients. Now we can't even.
We have a waiting list now.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
I will say this. There's one positive thing that I think we can mention here, and that is that you really, I'm starting to really see the resilience of us as people. I think we are adapting. We're rolling with the punches. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. This is hard. It's awful. But I see us rolling with the punches and being resilient and being a society that is resilient and that bounces back even when we're being held back. So I think it's important to notice that.
People have a little bit of hope with the new changes in the nation and the vaccine is giving people hope.
Well, and I think they see people taking it seriously. And I think that's a very important thing.
Well, and I think if we see consistency, that's going to be a lot better. I mean, the consistency across the board was terrible. And, you didn't have as much sense of community. You didn't have as many people working together as a team to try to find a better way around this. I mean, I just did a talk with a friend of mine that's a respiratory therapist down there, and it was terrible. She kind of felt like she was on her own. And now I think we're starting to see that, okay, there's a vaccine. We're trying to find a treatment. That team atmosphere is maybe coming back a little bit, and I think that will really help. If we could get community again, it'll be better.
Great.
And more people are really universally being told to wear your mask and to do all the, the social distancing that now is becoming a little more mandatory and regulated. I definitely would like to see you with a furry hat or something covering your ball. Your head is just exposed to the cold.
It's terrible. I have my paper hood and my sweatshirt on. I'm wearing 3 layers, so it's at least a little better today.
Well, it's not much different down here in California.
Yeah, I'm sure it's much colder in Washington State.
I don't know.
I'm sure of it.
How cold is it over there?
It was 37 this morning. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cold.
You win. You win. Only by 10 degrees, maybe, though.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna kidnap you, and you're gonna come down here and.
It's got to get better.
I've been trying to talk him into it.
It's got to get better.
Yes.
The frustrating part is doing the same thing day after day after day after day.
Yeah.
And seeing so many that are still positive. I mean, you're hoping that you'll see this break and it'll be all of a sudden we'll run 20 tests and only 1 will be positive. You're running 20 tests and we're still seeing 16 positive. I mean,
well, when do you think that will happen, Gary?
I don't know. And that's the problem with this variant. Is that going to happen? We got a CDC report, and I think I told you they were saying that the death toll in Washington was supposed to double by May.
Wow.
So with that coming out, it's like, how do you plan to do good if you know that's coming? And we're just hoping that part of that's wrong. And, we can stay ahead of it. And maybe that's just getting everybody together and saying, okay, now look, we got to make a push. We got to wear this. We got to do this. Otherwise, a double does not sound good to me, especially being out here. We'll be out here through the summer.
Well,
Tristan and I were supposed to come down to see Hamilton, and they canceled that clear for June.
Oh my God.
We were supposed to be in LA at the Pantages Theater, and they canceled it already. So they already know in June it's still going to be bad.
Oh, I think June is I expected June, I did, because we were supposed to have an in-person thing in around June, and I knew for sure that it would be virtual. So
yeah, and that was this. Now they said, well, you can repurchase your tickets for October, and we'll see how it is then. And I was like, great.
Yeah. Well, let's hope and keep working together and trying to get through this, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to find your joy. You have to, Gary. You have to find something for yourself. I tell him every day. You have to do things for yourself.
It's hard. It's hard after 10 months of being out here.
Yeah.
Day after day in the parking lot.
Yeah.
10 months.
Well,
that was crazy. We never thought.
I mean, it's universal. Our first responders like Gary, they're so friggin' burnt out.
No, I know.
I mean, they're burnt out. They all deserve a trip to Hawaii.
They do. So do you.
I know. I'll take Gary. Gary and I are going to Hawaii.
Oh man.
Well, Gary,
good right about now.
Yeah, I know.
Well, keep doing the good work, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
And get a hat. I'm going to send you a hat.
Much love.
Love you, Gary.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So,
but what he was saying before is, you have this like enthusiastic hope in the beginning that you're really making a difference, and you see that all your work, and then after month after month after month, where there's no change, it's only getting worse. I mean, like he said, it's incredible that the amount of just strength of character for these mental health. All of our mental health, and not mental health, but our I lost my track. I'm just proud of Gary. Okay.
I'm proud of Gary too.
Okay.
And speaking of mental health, I really can't stress this enough. If you feel like you need to talk to someone, and you want to, you want
need a little more support.
Yeah, give us a call here at the center.
You're trapped in a house with your significant other and your special needs child. This is a recipe for anyone needing extra support, and especially month after month of the online learning. I mean, we're all coming to that end. I know so many people that I've talked to that have said after the high of the holidays, there really was this kind of like low and a huge upswing in in depression, anxiety, and and people really losing hope.
Yeah.
So please give us a call. Write to Chrissa, CHRISA at edasnerfamilycenter.org. And please let us help you to get back on track and just get the support that you need.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So there we are.
Okay.
Until next week. Right?
Yes, God willing. I'm going to keep improving, and I will see you. I'll see you.
You'll see me in 5 minutes. Right?
Yes,
we're going to leave here. We're going to leave here together.
24 hours a day.
All right. And we'll see you next week.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Keep your seatbelt fastened. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The last 8 months have been incredibly difficult for everyone. And to have a small business, a nonprofit that depends on the interaction and the physicality of being around people.
Yeah.
It's a huge wall that all of a sudden appeared.
For the kids that are really used to having this social interaction, they're really struggling in the COVID kind of lockdown.
We very quickly adapted, and we created online content and virtual content that we decided at the very beginning that we wanted to make for free.
Chelsea Darnell, she runs Movie Chat. She started it at the very beginning of the pandemic, and it was a way for teens all over to connect with each other and talk about movies. I think it's super fun to have that type of outlet because it gives me a chance to connect with the outside world a little bit, you know?
We have kids who are able to have something to look forward to every week and really have this social interaction online with their social club, and that's been really one of our most successful things during this time.
I think that, you know, what I see there is just a great place for people to get support and parents to get some breaks, or caretakers to get a little break.
Month after month, one of the things the parents were really seeing is some regression in kids, depression. The social in-person interaction can't be compared to. So we did make the decision to totally outfit the center with COVID compliant plexiglass. And that's one of the things that we fundraise for. I mean, to be able to have these classes for the kids, it's life-changing. You know, we have waiting lists because they're so anxious to have this in-person experience. And we're one of the only essential facilities in the Valley that does in-person classes. You know, people are alone sometimes in their house for weeks and months with their special needs child, and that is incredibly difficult. It's not just about coming in to the center, it's also about having somebody to call, because a lot of the things that I'm doing now during the COVID times is fielding calls from parents who just want to talk and just want to vent and just need somebody to talk to. So I think what we're doing is really just creating a secondary expanded family, so everyone's part of our family.